Every year, in the desert of Las Vegas, Nevada, a truly unique event takes place. It's not advertised, and it's strictly off limits to the public. But for the select few who are asked to participate, it can be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's called Red Flag, the world's premier aerial combat training exercise.
Red Flag is that bar, that measuring stick that every fighter pilot measures himself by. From the youngest wingman to the most senior instructors, preparing for Red Flag takes years.
It's the most intense training you'll probably see of aerial combat, air-to-ground combat that we can do in peacetime to better prepare our forces for war.
Red Flag gives elite pilots from around the globe a unique opportunity to experience realistic combat on a massive scale. In the history of Red Flag, fewer than 30 countries have been invited to participate. But it's an invitation few nations would pass up. For the next exercise at Red Flag, an invitation has been extended far overseas to a country that has not participated before. The United Arab Emirates, a small nation situated on the Arabian Peninsula, bordering Saudi Arabia and Oman. Established in 1971 and blessed with an abundant supply of natural resources, the UAE has transformed itself into an international center for social, cultural, and economic exchange. But with good fortune and success comes an increased need for security. For much of its frontline defense, the people of the UAE look to their nation's world-class Air Force and the elite group of pilots who watch over them from above. Their headquarters is here at the Al Wafra Air Base in Abu Dhabi, a key facility for international forces dating back to the First Gulf War and home to the UAE Air Force.
That's approved. Break 5-1. You are clear for low approach for 3-1 left.
The Air Force consists of a lot of different peoples. A lot of female members are joining the Air Force right now. They're like sisters to us. Everybody's working together in order for us to protect the country that we love and we're proud to be from.
For the first time, a select group of Emirati pilots and maintenance officers has been invited to Red Flag to represent their country at the world's most challenging aerial combat exercise. Leading the UAE squadron at its first visit to Red Flag is Colonel Tariq Al-Banai.
Red Flag is a very important exercise to the UAE and to other countries. In 2 weeks of Red Flag training, you get a combat experience that you only get in wartime.
العلم الأحمر مثل ما تكلمنا قبل عن الخبرات وكيف انك تكتسب خبرات تقابل طيارين من مختلف الجنسيات ومن مختلف الدول وتكتسب منهم الأشياء الزينة والطرق اللي تقدر تتعامل فيها أنت اللي تساعدك أنت تحسن وضعك أو تحسن قواتك الجوية.
It's going to take a lot of work to fly in this exercise. I know it's hard, but we can do it.
Aside from their years of experience, the UAE pilots will arrive at Red Flag with a major asset, the F-16 Block 60, the most advanced F-16 fighter jet in the world today. Developed by Lockheed Martin in partnership with the United Arab Emirates, the F-16 Block 60 takes the airframe of a traditional F-16 and supercharges it with extra thrust, new fuel tanks, and lightning-fast electronics. Flown exclusively by the UAE Air Force, it is known as the Desert Falcon.
The UAE Air Force, there's a lot of things that they wanted in their airplane that you really don't see from the outside. They were visionary in terms of understanding what kind of capabilities they wanted, and they're finding out it's a very formidable airplane and something that really meets their needs, I believe.
The F-16 first started flying in the mid-'70s, and the Block 60 benefits from that 30 to 35 years of knowledge.
The airframe is just like any other F-16, but we have new radar, new avionics, and with its new capabilities, makes your mission much easier to accomplish.
the engine. The whole thing is so unique in this aircraft. It kicks, and you can feel the kick.
Out of all the F-16s I've flown, it is absolutely the best.
يوم أطير بالاف 16 أشعر بإحساس إني أنا فوق السحاب ممتلك السماء.
Flying the F-16 is very similar to riding on a magic carpet. You have a complete bubble canopy. I cannot see the nose in front of you, and so as you're flying around out there, you're out on the tip of the engine.
The feeling of a bird flying is the same feeling to me. You feel like you're outside flying by yourself.
You feel like it is an extension of your body. There's no other feeling you can compare it to.
Once you take off and you feel the roar of the engine, you feel your blood is rushing through your veins, and once it hits your head, it's better than anything that I experienced in life.
Before the showdown at Red Flag, the first stop for the UAE squadron is Tucson, Arizona. Here at the Arizona Air National Guard Base, they'll make final preparations for the simulated battle that awaits them in Las Vegas.
Assalamu alaikum. How you doing? Nice to see you. Good to see you too.
For many of the UAE pilots and maintenance crews, this is a return to what was once a home away from home.
Good to see you, man. It's been years.
Since 2001, the UAE has maintained a permanent facility here in Tucson, a place where aspiring pilots and maintenance crews have lived and trained alongside leading instructors from the U.S. Air Force, gaining world-class experience they've taken back with them to the United Arab Emirates.
These are all familiar faces that we've seen before, so it's kind of neat to see some of the guys come back.
Today, many of these former students have returned, now as fully qualified fighter pilots, ready to embark upon their greatest challenge yet.
Fitting them up with a harness assembly. It's a garment that attaches them to the parachute. And if that's not fit properly, they could be seriously injured upon ejection, so. Okay, next. Yes, sir. All right, try that. Now, you guys remember the releases here? You guys will be using these when you're flying up at Red Flag.
Okay. Less than 12 hours after their arrival, preparation for Red Flag begins.
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you guys. It's great seeing old friends. The primary airspace that we're going to use is the outlawed Jackal and Rustler MOAs. Very good for doing a post-sat because there's a lot of good LGB and JDAM targets out there that are available. We don't go supersonic over the National Preserve, so just avoid that area.
When they get to Red Flag, the UAE pilots will be faced with a range of combat scenarios, from simple air-to-ground attacks to intense dogfighting with multiple enemies. But the actual missions will not be known to them until Red Flag begins. To prepare for any situation they might face, the pilots and crews must re-familiarize themselves with countless systems and protocols.
You guys have all been through here, done this many times, but we always want reassurance that you guys are still familiar with what to do in case you have to eject. Remember that the normal rate of descent in a parachute is 17 feet per second. That's the equivalent to jumping off a two-story building.
After touching up on basic skills, the pilots dive into their first Red Flag practice missions.
We structure the missions here very similar to what they're going to see there. We don't have the numbers that they're going to see in terms of airplanes up at Red Flag, but how the mission would be structured, a strike mission, air refueling, the tactics, they're getting to see that here.
Scenario today, Jackal is being defended by DCA forces, DCA Red Air forces. OCA forces are marshaling in Rustler, attempting to strike targets in Jackal and the eastern edge of Outlaw. Fight our way in, fight our way out against the opposing Red Air forces. That is the scenario.
Flying an F-16 may seem like a solitary profession, but a pilot would be nothing without a dedicated ground crew. Here in Tucson, the Emirati pilots and jet technicians remain a tight-knit group.
The relationship between ground crew and the pilots is a strong relation because those are the guys who give you a safe jet to fly.
في اعتقادي أن العلاقة بين الصيانة والطيار يعتبرون أنهم أخوان وما في غنى عن الواحد عن الثاني.
The most challenging part of this is being mentally fit, physically fit. It takes a pilot to be dedicated to his job, being a professional in his job. And when he gets inside the cockpit, he just shuts down of the entire world. He is flying now.
الطيار في الجو تفكيره يكون منصب حول المهمة اللي يقوم فيها، يعني يتملك كل تفكيره، ما يفكر في أشياء ثانية غير كيف يكمل رحلته أو كيف يخلص مهمته اللي هو يقوم فيها.
Today, the pilots practice a skill required at Red Flag: mid-air refueling. Slowing his F-16 to 500 miles per hour, Saif al-Shahei carefully maneuvers his jet while a technician from the Arizona Air National Guard lowers a boom to dispense fuel. Once connected, the KC-135 Stratotanker provides the Desert Falcon with 2,000 pounds of jet fuel in less than a minute. Enough to keep the Block 60 flying for at least 3 more hours. But refueling is a dangerous task. One wrong move and the F-16 could collide with a flying tanker, igniting its cargo of 180,000 pounds of jet fuel. Time is of the essence, as each pilot waits patiently to perform the same maneuver. Their refueling mission is complete, but the pilots have a long road ahead of them. With Red Flag less than 2 weeks away, the mission training intensifies.
All right, welcome back. Just a refresher of what we'll do today. Kill the ammunition factory and the power supply, no blue losses, and minimize collateral damage.
Mid-air collision avoidance, realize the MOA, we could have civilian traffic going through underneath Jackal. Don't drop unless you can positively ID the target. Any questions so far?
Whether it's an F-15 at Red Flag or a F-111 or a KC-135, they need to be on the same frequencies, at the same hop rate, and have the same start time so that everybody's hopping at the same time. Does that make sense? You guys are nodding. Yeah, I've never understood that thing. Yeah, nobody does. Airfield, this is important. Wake up.
Okay.
After 2 intense weeks at their base in Tucson, preparations are now over. The pilots hope their training will be enough.
The Emirati pilots always give 100% effort and work very, very hard and show a tremendous amount of pride in what they do and exhibit a level of professionalism that is well above average for the countries that we see come through Tucson.
في تمرين العلم الأحمر أتوقع أن نبذل كل جهدنا لننفذ كل مهمتنا مهما كانت صعبة أو سهلة.
Yeah, it went pretty good. And I was pretty impressed. You did a good job. And I like your act. You're ready to go to Red Flag right now.
Nellis Air Force Base, Las Vegas, Nevada, the center for Air Force tactics and weapons training in the U.S., and the annual staging ground for Red Flag. Since 1975, pilots from around the world have descended on this base to go up against the best of the best.
Nellis Air Force Base is the heart and soul of the U.S. Air Force. It is our Harvard.
Around the world, Nellis is known as the home of the fighter pilot.
After suffering heavy casualties in the Vietnam War, the U.S. Air Force created Red Flag to provide young pilots with combat experience in a simulated environment. Studies showed that a pilot was far more likely to survive with 10 or more combat missions under his belt. Red Flag was created to provide those 10 high-pressure trials.
It's the biggest show in Vegas, hands down. Compared to seeing, Cirque du Soleil,
this is what I'm coming to see.
The red flag is raised as the UAE pilots and crew join hundreds of other coalition forces at orientation.
Carry on, have a seat. Big crowd, don't hurt yourself. Welcome. My name's Russ Handy. I'm the 57th Wing Commander. On behalf of my boss, I do want to say welcome. You guys are the reason why we are here at Nellis, to help you conduct your exercise. How many are here participating in a red flag for the first time?
We provide you here at Red Flag with a realistic threat environment. Our goal is to maximize your combat training, okay? And again, I stress that this is training, so don't go out there thinking this is combat and you can violate the rules to get the job done.
اوكي شباب، يومنا. ريد فلاج هذا انتم بتوصلون هناك الاولاد ما حد مثل ما قلت لكم قبل خذ هذه الفرصه، لكن خلال هالاسبوعين لازم نعمل شيء.
Red Flag simulates real combat by pitting coalition forces against simulated enemies. Led by camouflaged F-16s known as aggressors, flown by seasoned U.S. Air Force pilots. As the UAE pilots try to complete the missions they've been assigned, aggressor pilots trained in enemy tactics will actively try to disrupt their plans and shoot them down. Major Mike Wilburn is a member of the aggressor squadron flying against the UAE.
What they will see is a basic air-to-air threat that they're going to have to overcome. As they meet those challenges, we're going to throw the next challenge on. And we're going to continue to break them down. If they start to stumble, we'll step back, let them catch their step, and then we're going to hit them again. They're going to be facing a very, very complex threat, and they can expect to take, hopefully, if they're doing well, not as many losses as us. And if they do poorly, they will lose.
At Nellis, state-of-the-art computer systems track the firing of weapons in real time, keeping score in the simulated battle. The UAE pilots received their first mission, to destroy a fortified weapons depot on the outskirts of the Nellis range.
Cobra 1, proceeding to mission number 110.
Moments after takeoff, two aggressors take to the skies, flanking the UAE jets.
Cobra 11 ID hostile aircraft.
في الطلعة الجوية كانوا يمثلون الأعداء كانوا في كل مكان وكانوا يفاجئونا.
As the aggressors jam their radar systems, two Emirati pilots break out of formation and engage the enemy fighters.
Cobra 1, engage signal group bullseye 116, 40, 25K.
In a dogfight lasting only seconds, they outmaneuver the aggressors and down them with simulated missiles. The UAE pilots survive a first attack from aggressor aircraft and continue with their mission to destroy an enemy weapons depot.
Cobra 1, target contact. Cobra 1, 2, target contact. Cobra 1, bumped away. Cobra 1, target destroyed. Dark Star, Cobra 1, mission accomplished.
The Emirati pilots have completed their first mission, but there's no time for celebration. Red Flag is a 2-week marathon, and it's just begun. Over the next 10 days, the UAE pilot's skill is put to the test. They team up with other coalition forces in a range of combat scenarios, some stretching deep into the night.
الطرف المعادي خلق لنا مصاعب جمة، في بعض الطلعات يطلع لنا قدامنا وفي لحظة من اللحظات يختفي. هذه طبيعة الحال في الحرب، وهذا هو اللي نحن نهدف إليه. طيارنا يكون واعي للي حاصل حوله.
After 2 weeks of simulated combat, Red Flag draws to a close. Over the course of the exercise, the UAE pilots flew 94 individual missions. Their participation is deemed a huge success. They receive a commendation from the commander of Red Flag, General Russ Handy.
First time at Red Flag, outnumbered with a very high-tech adversary, did a wonderful job, presented themselves very professionally in the debrief, and I continue to see that out of them every time I work with them.
Back at Al Dhafra Air Base, life returns to normal for the pilots and maintenance officers of the UAE Air Force. Fresh from their experience at Red Flag, they go back to the day-to-day challenges of defending their nation's skies, confident in the knowledge that they have now flown against some of the best fighter pilots in the world.
I would definitely make sure that people in UAE, whether they were a local citizen or non-citizen, there's people up there protecting you. You can sleep safe, drive, have fun, you're safe in the sky.